Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back and visiting us, gracing us with your presence on the eFlexonics podcast show, everything healthful and helpful for the computer user. My guest today was a wonderful man whose name is Chris Burke. And by the way, my wife just finished baking a huge bunch of chocolate chip cookies, so we had to go and have some chocolate chip cookies. And we sent some chocolate chip cookies home with Chris so his wife could have a few chocolate chip cookies as well. See, there are benefits when you come on this podcast show. You get free food. Doesn't always happen, but he just happened to luck out today. So anyway, Chris brought an amazing product to the podcast show today from his website called Monitors in Motion. It is a computer monitor arm suspension system. Now, I'm sure you've seen them in the big box stores, but this one is quite different. This particular product comes with a lifetime guarantee. It is made out of very, very close to, I forget the ratio right now, but an aircraft billet aluminum 60-61. It's very, very high grade. And this particular product is unique in the fact that you can have your arm here and you can have the monitor sitting there. You can also get an attachment for your keyboard that sits right underneath your monitor. So I could be sitting at my desk and typing away and enjoying my day and doing computer work. And if I get tired and I want to stand up, with a push of a button, you just raise that entire monitor and the keyboard. Now you can stand up and do your work. It's ergonomically correct, it's well balanced, it's fully adjustable, it's customizable, it comes with a lifetime guarantee. You've got to see this product. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty convinced. I think I'm going to be the proud owner of one of these monitor arms in the next couple of days. Then we also did another great podcast on products called Klingo. Now, Klingo, Christmas is coming up. Okay, so you got to see the second podcast called Klingo Products as well. It's very difficult to explain. It's a little stand for your cell phone that you sit there, and they've also got a car one, and you stick your phone on it, and it's amazing. It's unique. It's priced right. I think you're really going to enjoy the Klingo products for Christmas. So if you've got a tech or a nerd or somebody that just has a cell phone or somebody that has a monitor and wants to reclaim that space and make their lives a lot easier, take a look at the podcast shows. It's nice. Chris, hope you're enjoying the cookies, and hope your wife, look, save some for your wife, would you? I think we sent half a dozen home with you, and there probably is going to be like 2 left. He's probably going to eat 4 on the way home on the car. So anyway, hope you enjoy the podcast show. If you want to send us a comment, you can send a comment to eflexonics@gmail.com. Thanks a lot, folks, for joining us. Enjoy the podcast show. Take care. Bye-bye. We are recording. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the eFlexonics show. Everything healthful and helpful for the computer user. Today we have Chris Burke. Now, Chris, your last name is spelled B-U-R-K-E?
No E at the end.
No E.
That's
B-U-R-K.
Right. Yes.
I was right. My wife was wrong. I'm going to have to rub that in because we're so seldom right.
That's true. You got to take advantage of that as much as you can.
And Chris, you rep a wonderful product called Monitors in Motion. Tell me a little bit about that product. What's going on with that product? How does it help the computer user?
Well, not that this really means anything on the end user right at the beginning, but we've been making these originally out of Europe for 12 years. And a Canadian manufacturer we're now making them in Canada, which is great. And so all of our work, everything is done in Canada out of which means a lot to a lot of people as well. It's made out of 65% minimum aircraft aluminum, so that's a very high quality product. I didn't mean that it's 65% aircraft aluminum, but that 65% recycled aluminum, which has been brought to the standard of I think it's 60-61. I can't remember the exact numbers right now, but it's really high up there. And so that's the very short version of the story. You know, it's a company that's been the most popular monitor arm in Europe, and in Canada It is, although it is fighting against some of the the offshore products out there, and the perception that a product that's holding a $200 monitor shouldn't be any more than the $200 monitor. But we're holding our own. We're holding our own. It's made in Ontario, but I'm just one of the West Coast reps of the product.
But you have brought a whole bunch of samples, and the quality, I'm telling you, is going to far surpass anything really, can we dare say it, coming out of China, right?
Absolutely. And that's pretty much where all of it is coming from. I think one of the biggest problems is that most of these other products, they make them with not the greatest material selection, and requires a lot of labor-intensive work. And unfortunately, that's where the labor is the least expensive. Our product is actually made virtually overnight by CNC machines in Canada, so you don't need to tag on a lot of man-hours of labor.
Now, what is a CNC machine for people that don't know?
Sure. Well, it's computer numerically controlled machinery, and
it's like a robot, right?
It is, but it's got it's a robot with a drill bit on the end of it. So they'll put in these blanks, and they'll put in as many as they need to, and they'll make as many as, well, we have one of the pieces of machinery will do up to 60, I think it's 60 arms at a time.
Wow.
And it's all done overnight. In other words, you program it, you come back the next day, it's done what it needs to, and you just take that product and move it to the next phase. They have 17 of these things in the factory, so it's a lot.
That's a big production.
Especially considering 3 of them each were somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 each. So it's not something.
That's a big investment.
It is huge.
Yeah.
It is huge, and they do other things at the factory as well, but it's quite a bit of dedication is to these.
So tell me about the product. Explain the product. What does it do? How many variations of the product? We set up a monitor arm there on your left-hand side, and I can't really, it's not within camera shot, but I've got it on the handy-dandy Vado that I will be introducing into the video.
Oh, okay.
But show us a little bit about the quality of the product there, and explain all about, for example, what would inspire me to buy a monitor support arm system?
And that's where it all comes from. I mean, that's why I wanted to be on this show, is not so much how beautiful our arms are, but how it can actually help people. If you go on to WorkSafe BC sites and they start talking about a proper workstation and positioning of the arms and keyboards and things like that, they ultimately do start talking about the monitor, but the information fades out really quickly. The best advice they can give for repositioning a monitor is to try to find a phone book, which is harder to find.
Or a couple of old books. Oh,
yeah. And if you need them, that's one problem. But it winds up taking no less space on the desk, and that's another thing altogether. So ideally, a monitor should be set up so that, and unfortunately yours is not where it's supposed to be, but that's
that's why you're here.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's ideally what you're doing is actually yours is in the right spot because you need to be able to see people. It all depends on the situation. But if you're spending hours in front of a computer monitor,
yes, I do.
Yes, exactly. The first line of text should be where your eyes are neutral.
Right here?
And then it drops down from, then your eyes should be able to drop down from there. You shouldn't really need to see too much above there unless you're referencing, the information that's up there, which is brief.
Right.
Monitors are only really made to just barely get the job done of keeping a monitor, or like the stands are made with just enough workmanship or whatever you want to call it to keep the monitor on the desk and to have it upright and with a minor amount of adjustability. 2 things happen with that. It's not the right height. You really can't easily adjust for light situations that can come up. And even though the monitors do take up less space than a cathode ray tube, you don't have the space in behind. The issue still comes up of still proper positioning, because you're only taking care of one situation. You're taking care of the high power output and the space that it takes up on the desk initially. But what most people find is really quickly they're able to fine-tune the height, and they find that it makes a huge difference for the long terms that they're spending in front of a monitor. But it's not just the height, it's the length, that distance that monitor is from your head. Now, if you have a lot of paperwork on your desk, that monitor is only in one spot. It's where it needs to be to accommodate your paperwork.
And you are a slave to that monitor positioning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I am not an accountant, and I notice that accountants always use 2 monitors all the time. And there's just no way around it now. But I have 2 monitors because it makes a huge difference for productivity. Even the most rudimentary computer out there today will have the video cards that will allow you to use 2 monitors. The problem with 2 monitors, now you've got 2 monitors that take up even more space on your desk. The productivity might be going up on the monitor, but then you lose your desk altogether.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We've set up a few setups with as many as 5 monitors, depending on what the people are doing. I'm not that advanced to know where they're even getting the signals from. That's a nice thing for me, is I can be involved in computers and just know the ergonomics and not really have to know what they're trying to get done. All I know is
details.
if I have for example, a spreadsheet that I had to pull out of a what do you call those? A newsletter, or not a newsletter, but out of an email, and I had to reference that, and I had to send a letter back, or I had to reference it for any other kind of information, creating a new spreadsheet. You really don't do well by having things all broken up and having to reference them all the time. It really does lose productivity, and it's irritating.
Yes.
Quite frankly.
Yes.
It completely reverses when you have a monitor arm. You've got the monitor at the right height, you got it at the right position. If you need to have paperwork on the desk, it can actually be there.
Yeah, you reclaim some of that lost real estate on your desk, right?
And it's very important real estate. You shouldn't have to move everything every time you want to make an adjustment. Now, for my wife and myself, she will only use the 1 monitor, and she loves having it close to her. But I push that back and I put them back together again. If she needs to be on it for 10 minutes or whatever, it's back up. But no paperwork gets moved around. It's back to where it needs to be when I want to use it. The way our monitor is set up as well, if she's trying to use a photograph in the monitor and she's doing artwork, for example, I'm just throwing examples of real life situations.
Sure.
She can quickly flip it to a portrait position, and just with a couple of clicks on the computer is able to adjust the monitor so that it plays in that position.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And, even though she likes to say she's not very techy, she's figured that out pretty quick.
Matter of fact, we've got that one. Just swing it around if you can.
Sure.
There, Chris, and bring it around to you more.
Sure.
And it's just such a beautiful piece of machinery. Look at that. It's gas-charged shocks, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you can adjust it. And it took you less than 2 minutes to put it together, hook it up to the desk, and even hook the monitor up to it, right?
It takes nothing.
Yeah.
It can be anywhere on the desk. I like just getting it completely out of the way if I need to. And obviously, it would normally be on the opposite side, but this is for the sake of the viewing audience. They can see how this is made. This is all, again, it's all.
Bring it a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
The camera angle. Yeah, and
Sure.
then flip the monitor around if you can.
Oh, yeah. Now, just to let you guys know, you can probably see this tag at the bottom. That's normally for the original monitor. So
Space.
that would normally be taken out. It's very easy. Right. Just flip them out and you get rid of that altogether. So you've got that beautiful look. But it works. There it is in portrait.
There you go.
Back to landscape without any real effort. Again, a couple of clicks on your control panel will take care of that when you need to. But this works really well when you have multiple users, especially. It's not some, with our other ones are more dedicated to one height. And one height is generally all you need once you adjust to it. But if you get people in the banks or the airports or places like that, they need this. But we've also done this for individuals who are trying to get that monitor to be up higher so they can use it as with an extra keyboard so they can actually stand while they're working.
Oh, this is brilliant. I love this. So if you could set up potentially a workstation so you could be sitting here in a sitting position,